today's episode, we have Chandell Labbozzetta. Welcome.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here with you guys.
Chandell is the author of Confident Closing, and she's often referred to as a confidence maker. Her purpose is to inspire confidence in others so that they can make empowered decisions. She's a trainer, coach, speaker, and author, and she's passionate about critical thinking and being the best by being yourself. So great to have you here today.
Thanks so much, Renee. It's a pleasure to be here and be here with the viewers as well.
Now, I'd love you to share a little bit of your story. How did you get to where you are, and what does your business look like today?
Fantastic. So been in business for 11 years now, and this is our 11th year at Life Puzzle. And the way that I got into this field was actually a little bit of a growth story. So I was in corporate. I was working very well, and like a lot of people that I know had that passion to climb the corporate ladder. So I was a perfectionist with a type A personality, which is a very dangerous combination. And even though I'd had many successes and been on six figures by the time I was in my early 20s, I always felt this underlying surge of something that wasn't right or something that was missing. And so basically got myself into a funk, and I push harder or work harder, and, thinking that that was the key to, filling that gap. And the more I acquired, the less happy I felt. And then I beat myself up and feel guilty about the fact that I had so much more than other people. So just got into a spin. And a mentor of mine had told me about neuro-linguistic programming and how it was all about how people, make decisions and how they tick and what makes them get motivated for different things. And I went along and did a course and discovered some amazing breakthroughs for myself and got to the root cause of a lot of the emotional and self-worth issues that I was having, and went on to go and share those skills with others. So did that in corporate for a little while, and then Life Puzzle evolved from that point of view. So it's a very exciting process. So basically I've worked with over 500 people one-on-one in therapy-based situations, and also worked with business owners to help them to get across their passion and to utilize that in a way that they get paid the prices that they deserve without all of the sleazy sales techniques that a lot of people are talking about out there. So just building the authenticity and the value that they offer to their clients.
Brilliant. Okay, so Chandell, we know a lot of coaches get into this industry because, they want to make a difference. They've got big hearts. So they're great at what they do. They're great at making the difference. But when it comes to actually, the sales or, asking for money, that's where they fall down. So how do we fire that itty bitty shitty committee?
Yeah, absolutely, Renee. And look, as small businesses, fail within 50% of small businesses will fail within the first 2 years of operation. And it's mostly because, people get into something because they're really great technicians. They're really good at helping people. When it comes to that conversation, they feel a bit icky about it. And a lot of the time it comes down to the belief systems that we have for ourselves about money, what we think we're worth. So sometimes our identity and how much we really can help, and also how many runs we have on the board. Sometimes it's just about filling that convincer too. So I guess my recommendation in terms of steps to address this is by far I recommend if you know somebody who is practicing timeline therapy, I certainly recommend that you go and see them. Let go of that itty bitty shitty committee about self-worth or the limiting decision. If you would like to address it from a more conscious, practical point of view, then certainly Carl Jung said that which is unconscious made conscious ceases to exist. So the first thing that I would recommend is get conscious about what is your belief about money. So when you pay a bill, what's the internal dialogue say? Are you resentful about the fact that you're paying the money? Are you, looking at money as being some kind of evil source? Some of us grew up in households where, things were tight, and, the common thought was money doesn't grow on trees. The media sensationalizes us with the fact that the economy is bad and we should have a lot of fear about, holding on to all of our money because, we don't know where it's coming from. So get conscious about what is it about money that perhaps is blocking you a little bit, because you see, one of the things that I've recognized through 11 years of doing this work is that people only really value what they're prepared to invest in. And so giving things away for free, and when we think we're helping without charging the prices that we deserve, generally people are in a situation where they're not really valuing the changes that they're making with you as much as they would as if they were investing. So the first thing is to get clear on what is the money thing about. clear in your pricing. So if you're offering a particular service or you've got a package, then make sure that you're really congruent with the package that you're offering. And when you tell people what the price is after you've built heaps and heaps of value in it, then make sure you use a command tone when you say your price. I see too many people, in their voice tonality, when they explain to their prospects what their price is, they finish their sentence with a high note or a questioning tonality. It's like they're not really sure of what they're charging because they're not really sure. And so, it's really important to have that confidence and congruence in the way that you tell people what your prices are. And I also recommend rehearsing that. So, making a list of all the things that your clients can actually get value and quantifying that in dollar terms. Like, what is this, the extension of solving this problem, going to do for that person's life, and where will it save them money, time, and challenges in other areas of their life? How's that going to add value? And then see if you can put a dollar figure on that and see that your coaching or the services that you're offering to them are actually, pretty priceless, and you basically should be charging much, much more than what you are for the value that you're adding to this person's life. So it's really about getting clear on the value and then quantifying that long term, getting confident about the fact that you are worth what you're charging, because it is a domino effect. When you help someone in one area, then all the areas of their life start to improve. And so how can you put a price tag on that? And how dare you undervalue yourself for the great work that you're doing with your clients? So get conscious, get confident, and start building value, and then linking that value to the price that you're offering. And you'll soon see that people will be more than happy to pay the prices that you deserve, because they've been able to have that value highlighted to them in a way that they didn't see it before.
Yeah, that's great. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, because I'm a really big advocate, for coaches and thought leaders to move away from that charging per hour, move away from, that trading time for money kind of situation to getting paid for results. So what are your thoughts on that?
Look, I think that at the end of the day, results speak for themselves, and I'm 100% in agreement with you. I think if we look at the outcome and how that's quantifiable for somebody's life, so, depending on what the presenting problem is that the coach is working with the client, that problem represents a certain amount of cost in their life. And so therefore, by allowing the person to make change in that area or to add value in that area and helping them to solve that problem, as I said before, sometimes that's an immeasurable amount. Sometimes, it's a priceless thing. And a story comes to mind. I was actually doing some work with a lady in a business-related coaching session a number of years ago, and we did a process called timeline therapy, which is about letting go of major negative emotions from the past, and we can do that in a matter of minutes without having to get into the content. And so about an hour after the coaching session, she rang me up and she was crying, and I said, "Are you okay?" And she says, "Yeah, absolutely." They're happy tears. And she had told me that because of a lot of unresolved anger that she'd had at work and some various different things, that she'd noticed a change in behavior from her youngest daughter, who was 3 years old. And her 3-year-old was not wanting to come next to mummy, not wanting to give mummy a hug, pushing mummy away and that sort of thing. And she had got home that evening, and for the first time in months and months and months, her 3-year-old daughter ran up to her of her own accord and gave her a big hug, and "I'm so glad to see you, mummy, and I really missed you." And she said, and that was actually a convincer for me that the anger that I was thinking that I was hiding very well was actually clearly, being picked up by my youngest daughter. And as a result of shifting that's not something that I can measure in dollars. And so, the work we're doing with our clients and solving problems can have a domino effect on their entire life. And so sometimes you can't measure the results in terms of dollar figures, which is why we should be charging what we're worth. And I'm really passionate about that.
Yeah. So how do you put a price tag on that then? If you can't measure it, as a result in the bottom line, how do you advise people to put a price tag on it?
Well, I think that it definitely takes some thinking in the context of, well, what is that problem worth to the person that is solving it, basically. And I think a lot of the time, because of the unconscious bias that we have, where we sort of judge our external world based on our values, often what will happen is we'll put whatever limiting ideas or whatever limiting beliefs we have about money and what things are worth to us, we'll actually project that onto other people. So while it may not necessarily be worth to the coach a certain dollar amount, for the client, it could be represented in a huge amount. So you've got to think about this in the context of, solving that one problem, that could be worth thousands of dollars. And what I often say to my clients is, when I was experiencing some deep depression in the lead up to finding the skills that I share with other people now, I had been seeing a therapist for a number of years at quite a sum of money to invest in solving the problem. And I was investing in solving that problem without getting an outcome. And I was doing that happily and without any question. Yet the amount that I spent in my education to get these skills was a third of what I'd spent in therapy over 18 months without a result. And to me, that was priceless. So I was happy to spend a few $1,000s, knowing that to me it was worth, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I think it's about breaking the model of what we believe value is and putting a dollar figure on that is sometimes 10, 15, 20 times what the problem is actually costing the client. So it's really about thinking about it in different terms.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we've talked about how much I'm a big fan of leverage. So how have you created leverage in your business?
So in our business, in terms of leverage, we've been working with clients in different capacities, and we actually teach a lot of the skills. As I said, my purpose is to inspire confidence in others so that they can make empowered decisions. So from my point of view, I think that everything that you can do to empower other people to be able to do what they need to do is a really big factor. And obviously, we've got a team of people that help us with various different things, and there are elements that we've created. We've got an online training for confident closing so that people can take, the foundations of what they need to start thinking the right way about their businesses and firing the itty bitty shitty committee and all of those elements. So, we're sharing with our community tools and skills in various different forms, and those tools are accessible to them, whether our coaches are available online or not. And that allows us to continue to share the message and to have that domino effect, thus empowering people with the skills that they need in order to keep getting those results, whether we're sitting in front of them or not. So,
yeah, great. So you've used products like online trainings is one way, and
correct.
Also you've got people in your team who helped create leverage as well. So that's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Absolutely.
And what do you love the most about your business?
Look, I think in terms of my business, one of the things that I love the most about it is the fact that we are able to guarantee the results that we get with our clients. I have a lot of passion and a lot of dedication to seeing people start at one point and then end up at another point where there's a massive block. One of the metaphors that I often use is that in the moment when a problem is created, a solution is created at the same time, and it's only a matter of time before they come back together. And I think in everything that we do, both within our business and the team, and also with the clients that we work with and our graduates and students of our programs, there certainly is a lot of pleasure and passion that comes from the fact that, to walk together with somebody or to guide somebody from being in a really stuck place to them feeling like they have everything that they need to create the results that they want and to have that success that they've been looking for, and that they don't have to listen to the itty bitty shitty committee anymore, or they don't have to be bound by old beliefs that didn't serve them. That, to me, when people are living true to their values, that's really exciting. So that's what we love about it.
Brilliant. I love that. So fire that itty bitty shitty committee. We've
Absolutely.
been Chandell Labbozzetta. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Renee. It's been a pleasure. And remember, fire the itty bitty shitty committee and go out there and get paid the prices you deserve, because you're worth it and you're making much more of an impact than the itty bitty shitty committee would have you believe.
Love it. Thanks, Chandell.
Thanks, Renee. Are you there?
Oh my God. I'll have to start that question again.
All right, go.
Okay.